tea. That I don't even hear them. It's not worse than Thai. Thai be knowing when I be eating and all that. I tell you what, kids. Me either. Married, but you want to have kids though. Just accent hypothetically. Oh, not just yeah. Right. One. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me write this down. I thought I was just obstacle.
Okay, he said yes.
It's still stupid shit.
He usually is here by now.
I'm on mute right now.
No, we can hear you.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. I don't know why my quick mute ain't working.
This nigga dumb as a mother. Oh, there go the teacher.
Yeah, my mom was running insurance. You can, yeah.
You still hungry, baby? You want some milk tea?
Everybody stay here until the president gets through it. She's seen it's easy to right? All this take it easy. She's too nonsense. You can't just start hammering her with questions.
No, I'm online for class.
This is gonna be your own.
I'm not to just go right though. They ain't paying nothing but $17, but I don't care. I gotta go somewhere.
Duncan.
Man, the phone there, I run out of
Your phone, your screen not muted.
We can hear you typing.
But you can't hear me talking?
We can hear you talking now. At first, it
Oh,
was
okay. All right. For a minute here, I thought I was crazy. All right. So what's everybody thinking tonight? Feeling better about stuff? We're gonna go back to what I was looking at because it's basically the review is just a breakdown of the basic topics. You do a little bit of everything. Where did I have it at? I thought I had it open somewhere. I might have closed it. But anyway, that thing that we're looking at. Okay, so see, it still sees me as the path. But you see this is coming up here. When we get within usually about a week of a chapter test, you're going to have an associated review for it right there. Okay. If you get behind and, you're starting to get panicked, well, this is what this is for. That review for test 1 contains all the material compacted into one. So that's what I'm starting to do now here. And why can't I get into it? I was clicking on it. So what in the world? I just saw it over there. Is this mine or is this the student view? Oh, that's why I don't see it, because all right, let me just go over there and check the date on it. So this is the 120 V82. So under assignments, this is not that path thing that's in the same spot. So what dates do I have on it? I'm going to put it there so that will be there now. Okay. Because see, we got about a week. And that's what you can expect to see those each time there's a test. All right. So now let's go back and preview it again and look at some of those problems. Let's see. So we did that. So we were about on number 4, if I remember. Oh, wait a second. What was this one, number 2? This is a good one. I don't know why I didn't see this one before. How about this one? Can y'all see that problem? Can y'all hear me yakking away?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. What this is, it says there are 9 train stations in a certain county. The orange line and red line are 2 train routes that pass through the county. And here's some facts about the train lines. Bellin is a station along both the orange and the red line. Ozark and Utica are stations along the orange line, but not the red line. Arbor, Dover, Huron, and Salem are stations along the red line, but not the orange line. Okay. So in a lot of ways, this is like, I don't know if people out there like to work puzzles, but there's puzzle books and you get them when they're all mixed up kind of ones, not just crossword any one type. They'll throw some of these kind of things in there at you. Arbor, Dover, Huron, and Salem are stations along the red line, but not the orange lines. And Flint and Provo are stations along neither the orange line nor the red line. Now, let's see if we can decipher this. They give us a list of 3 of those stations. And what we got to do is find out what those are. What's the code? In other words, how do we explain to people where these things are at? Bellin is along both the orange and the red line. Ozark and Utica are stations along the orange line, but not the red line. And then these down here aren't an issue. So it's these two we're looking at. Both of those have to do with Balin, Ozark, and Utica. So the key is in those two bits of information. So let's see if we can figure this out. Let's look at what we got. Ooh. Are those the set of stations in the county along the orange line? Balin is on the orange line. Ozark and Utica are along the orange line. So what about that? It's the very first one, right? Are we sure about that? Let's try to rule out a couple of more of them just to be safe, because it may not always be the first one, but that sure looks like it to me. All right. An alternative answer is the set of stations in the county along the red line. All right. So Balin is on the red line, but Ozark and Utica are not. So they also say that they're on either one or the other, orange line or red line. That means they're in one or the other or both. And that's not the case. So you could go through all these right here, but I feel pretty confident that that's it. That's the description, because all of those are on the orange line. And you see the word there. Okay, that's the key right there. Now, the other ones are not so much like a puzzle because you're going to list, giving them the description now. So we're doing roster form, so that means we got to list it. So we open this up. Now, the set of stations in the county, not along the red line. All right. Let's get rid of these now. We don't need those anymore. Let's annotate. So not along the red line. So these are on, so Balin wouldn't be in there. Ozark and Utica are stations along the orange line and not the red line. So those are going to be in there, right? Ozark and Utica? Aren't those along? They aren't on the red line? See that? So Ozark and Utica are not on there. We may not be finished yet, but those, I want to put those in there. So Ozark, comma, Utica, and comma. So now what else is not along the red line?
Flint.
So Flint and Provo are along neither one of the lines. So they're not on orange or red. So they're on purple, green, or whatever. So then we put Flint and Provo in there. And they got this so you don't have to type it out. All right, so another description, the set of stations in the county along the orange line or the red line or on both. So this one here was the both. That's what and means, both. But just in case you're not sure. Both orange and red line. So though that Balin is going to be on there. That's the both. Which ones are along the orange line? Well, Bellin's already in there. So let's put that one there. So Bellin is the one that's on both. So it's definitely in the or both because it's the both, the last one. Now, which ones are along the orange line? Well, Ozark and Utica are along the orange line. So they tell us right here. Ozark and Utica are along the orange line. That's this one. That's the orange. See, we did this part. We did this part. Now, let's find the ones that are on the red line. Which ones are on the red line? See that? Along the red line. So Arbor, Dover, Huron, and Salem are what? Along the red line. So they go in there. And that's what this part is right there. Let's put it in there. So what do I say? It was Arbor, Dover, Huron, and Salem. And you know what? It almost ends up being all of them except Flint and Provo. And that's relates to that concept of a union. The union is puts everything in together into one. All right. And again, you remember how if you were around for the last class, I talked about how the set theory here is just a matter of paying attention to detail. Let me just keep on going here. Let's see. And so we got that. Let's see if I can make this bigger. So that's the way we do that. This one is working backwards. That's why they only give you one of them. And the other one, they give you the description and ask you to list it. And this is what it is. A well-defined set is you can list it from the description. Listed in roster form. If you truly can't, because you don't have enough information, then it's an undefined set, not a well-defined set. All right, let's look. Oh, wait, this is one we looked at earlier. And we looked at that. Kind. All right. This is where I was saying we need to concentrate, right? Because people got lots of questions about this kind. We didn't actually do any of these, did we? I don't think we did. All right. So y'all still hearing me, huh? I think I got my camera to working. But
we could hear
okay.
you, but we
So like I said,
stopped right there.
I think my camera was just the cable was loose on it, so it's all right now, but it still got me a little bit worried. All right. So these things right here, these are called set operations, and these set operations need to be done in steps. It is very difficult to do both steps involved here because like math, you always work at the thing that's most complicated, and the most complicated thing here is this right here, what we call B complement. Does anybody remember what the complement is?
The opposite of?
Yeah, it's basically the opposite is of a set is what is not in the set, but in the universe. So what you have to have is you have to have a well-defined universe and know what's in it, and then you can take out from it. All right. So the complement of sets. So if you got questions about that, this is a two-step problem. So the most complicated thing is right here, the B complement. So in order to union that to A, I got to know what B complement is. So I'm going to write B complement over here. B complement is you know what? Let me do a little drawing here first to show you. Okay, let me ask you the question. Here's your universe. Here is B. So what we want to know is which of these here in the universe are not in B. So what I like to do is just come up here and mark out the ones that are here in there. 1's gone, 3's gone, and 6 is gone. And so what's not in B? Say it loud. 2 and 9. Very, very good. Very, very good. All right. So there's B complement. Now we got a hope of taking that B complement and unioning it with A. And remember, the U means union. U. Hard to make a U and get it for you, but something like that. U means union. And it's different from the universal set because the universal set is kind of the big master. In the U here, the union, you have to hook it to something else. You have to hook it to two other things. So in one case, what we're hooking it to is B complement. That's what we need to find because you know what? We've already got A. A's right there. So what we're going to do then to union these together is to take this one and that one and put them together. In other words, we're going to follow the rules for sets and we're going to type it right here. Whoop. I got to get out of that annotation mode. All right. So A union B, like I said, A union B means we're just going to put them all. Let's make sure we got all of both. In other words, there's 5 values there. Let's see what we got. The first one is 1, right? Because A has a 1 in it. What would be next? And I'm just putting in order just for the sake of clarity. What would be the next number that we got in our union? 2. 2 is over here on this side. It's in the B complement. So it goes in the union because we're putting all these into one stew pot. Now the next thing is over back in the A, it's got a 3. And the 9 is in both, but we only count it once. We're still following our rule about only counting values once. All right, any questions about that? I know this is the first time many of you may be seeing this, so I have no doubt that you have questions. And I'm just kind of a bit waterlogged just because this schedule getting out of whack, so might lose track of time. So just yelp if I go on past the end of class. I know we still got like 45 minutes, but it's easy for me to get caught up in stuff. All right, anybody got questions about this? Can you all hear me out there?
No, I can hear you. I don't know why I struggled. I asked for this question. I don't know why I struggled so much. That was pretty easy.
Well, that's why I'm asking here. There's no shame in asking about this. So Do you understand the steps? There's 2 steps here. All
Yes,
right,
sir.
this problem right here, we had to take an A, which was the set up here already. It was already done for us, and union it, meaning we're going to add it to B complement. Now, what B complement is, it's simply what this says is it's the ones that are not in B. So what I had done here, and this is the way I like to do it, and is to go up here to my universe, my main set, and then I'm going to take and strike out the ones that are in B. So I struck out the 1, I struck out the 3, and I struck out the 6. And so now what's left in the universe that's not in B is this one right here, 2 and 9. B complement. What's not in B. Oh, no, I'm afraid to move my camera. I'm afraid it's going to go off again. But anyway. So see how that works? It's 2 steps. You're going to have most of these have to have at least 2 steps. And that's one step right there. And that's the most important. Once you get that one, you've already got this one done for you. So all you're doing is just putting the 1, 3, 9 and the 2, 9 into one basket. And like I said, we don't count the 9 twice because we only have to count it once. All right. So now on to this one here. A complement intersected with B complement. Now the good news is we've already got B complement done. So these things are structured like that it looks like a lot more work it is. But if you just take it a step at a time, it's like stepping stones in the rain. All right. So now let's look at this one that we don't have, which is A complement. And I guess what I'll do is, let's see how easy it is to change the color. Oh, I know what I can do. I can just erase. All right, so we're going to use this afresh. Now, what's not in A? Well, one we can take out.
The 6.
Well, the 3 is out. And so what's left over?
The 6.
The 2 and the 6, right?
Right, because it's not in A.
It's not in A. And that's what we're doing. I'm going to write it down here in a second. So the 2 with a line over them are the ones that are not in A. Not in A. So it was 2 and 6. All right. Now these sets right here, just by the way, they're both equivalent. They got the same number of elements in them, but they're certainly not equal because B complement has 2 as well as A complement, but 9 is in B complement and a 6 in A complement. So that's neither here nor there, but let's find out now. What happens if we intersect? What does this intersection thing mean? What does that term right there mean?
If they share an element.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's any elements that they share, that they have in common, that both have. So I could kind of use this analogy, but I just don't know how. But let's say you got 2 people that both get married and they're setting up household together, and they bring certain things that everybody has, and so they bring them together. And then there's some things that only one has, like maybe both have a vacuum cleaner, but not both have a toaster. But you can put those together, and anything repeats, you throw it out. You're not using it. It's that same kind of scenario when you're talking about the union. And the intersection is simply what are the things that we have in common, and how many do we need to toss? All right. So looking at these here, then what is common?
The
The two is common. Okay. And that's the only one. It's in the intersection between these two. This does not mean, remember, you got to do this step first before you can move on and do the union. Because I think people sometimes read that as just A union B, and they'll just come here and put these two together. But you've got to find that B complement first. And likewise for B, you have to then get to A complement and then find out what they have in common. All right. So this is the number 5. Let's see what's number 6.
So by both of them being 2, that made it become 2 come in the answer section.
Yeah, see?
Okay.
That's the 2. That's the intersection.
Okay.
Just like you said, both of them are in common.
Okay.
So that's the intersection. Whew, boy, am I dehydrated. Of course, we're going to be getting a lot of rain right here.
Can we use these notes for the test?
Not for the actual test, no. You're going to have this, if you want to take your first trip around this review, you can do whatever, anything you want, but I highly recommend to treat it like a test because, yes, on notes, no notes are going to be allowed on the midterm and the final. I want to give you a test at some point. You can do whatever you want to it and be kind of open book and all that. But I'll guarantee you this right here. The type of test doesn't usually matter. I mean, don't get hung up on trying to use notes because you can't use that on the midterm and the final. So generally what using notes does is slow you down. So don't ever, one of the things you fall into is the trap of thinking that you got notes that's going to necessarily do better things. Besides, we can't do them on the midterm and final anyway. But I usually give you a test like that. At one time, I used to do more of that, but the school kind of frowns upon that. All right. So this was the next one. And this one is the same kind of thing, except now what's different?
It's more of an
It's got 3 sets now, okay? All right. So let's look. Here's our universal set there. We got it listed in roster form. We don't need to have a description, but it's just basically, I don't know what the rhyme or reason is to it, but there are just certain letters, lowercase letters there. Now, A has F, G, R, and X. And now, because that universal set is the universal set, that means that A, B, and C have to be pulled from that universal set. Okay? That's the rule. The universal set is the big one under discussion, and you can pull anything out you want. So A, F, G, R, and X, and those are in the universe. They're pulled from the universe. Same thing with B. R, X, Y, and Z are all in the universe, but those are the ones that are in B only. Or inside of B, I'm sorry, not only. And then C as 5, G, H, Q, R, and Z. And again, all of those are in the universe, but it's a subset. And each one of these is a proper subset of that universe. They're all at least one smaller. And didn't somebody say they had a question about the, or was that another class? The subsets and the proper subsets?
Yes, you're pretty much
gonna,
I asked it at the end of last class. You're pretty much answering
oh,
everything.
okay. But there's going to be another one of those in, there's going to be one of those in here. So, all right. So we just got to go through some steps here. All right. Sets A, B, and C are subsets of the universe. Now, what we've got is C intersect with all in parentheses. So it's the whole thing. B union A complement. So I'm seeing at least 3 steps there. So like everything else with math, and this is one of the things that this does share with, algebra and all that, is that you work from the inside out. In other words, go to your most complicated stuff and work there first. And that most complicated stuff is inside of here. All right. I thought I could select it, but it's that part right there. So that's what we're going to do. First is the B union A. All right, so I'm going to write that over here on the side. So B union A is what? If we put B and A together, what all do we have? What's the first one? We can put them in order. Remember, order doesn't matter, but we'll organize them so we can see it better. So what's the first one in A or B? It's an F, right? G. And then they share one. Which is one that they share? A and B. Or
The aura.
good. They both share an X, so that
an
goes
X.
in the union. And then now there are some that are only, and that's the Y and the Z,
And a
and
Z.
those are only in the B. But that's all of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
B union A. All right. Now we saw in that last problem how to find the complement. Well,
No,
this
my
one,
baby won't legs. Oh, I don't. Oh, that's me. That's a two. That's a two size.
all right. So we saw how to do a complement in that last problem. So it works the same way. It's just that we got a bigger problem that's a little bit larger, but it's sort of like that old saying, how do you eat an elephant? Well, it's one step at a time. One step at a time. So now that's that part. Now what we got to do is apply the complement. Apply all right. So then we're going to do the same thing that we did in that last one, which is I'm going to go over here to the universe and take out the ones that are in the union. So try to call them out to me. Does F go?
F, G,
G,
aura,
R,
X and Y.
And Z.
and it's in Z.
And Z.
So the complement would be H, P, and Q.
So all right, so what's left over are the ones that I've got underlined. See that? Those are the ones that are not in that union. So how we can tell if we've got it right is if we take these and the ones that are only not in that union and we put them back together, there will be no intersection, you know, but it would get us back to that full universe. So now we know what that is. Let's write it out in a set. B union A complement is then, as you've just told me, H, P, Q. H, P, and Q. So those are not in this. And you see that? There's no H up here. There's no P up here. There's no Q in there. That's why it's the complement. And if you squish these two back together, you get back to your U. You get back to your U. All right. So now we've done this whole side here. This whole side right there is that rascal. Okay. So now, again, we're going one step at a time. Now, what we're going to put that together with is C. In other words, and I'm just going to go ahead and type it out. Oh, you know what? I'll just leave a space. I guess I'll have to come back and write it. There's no way on the keyboard to put that thing, so I'll have to come back and write it in by hand. Okay, so C, I'm just going to write C here. So that's just C rewritten up there. And I'm intersecting it. And I'm going to put the intersection symbol there again. And then here, I'm going to put the one we just figured out. And I'm going to come back and fix things in a second here. Make this a little bit wider. And then I am going to pencil in the symbol, because this is the intersection symbol. And here it is again. So C intersected with this rascal right there. Well, I've just written it again. This right here is your C. See, I just rewrote it from over there. And we just figured out all this with the hard work we just did. So that's this part here. So now, again, refresh my memory. What does that little upside down U represent? What does that mean? Intersection. It means the the elements that they have in common. So, in looking at them, well, you know what? Let's just so what do they have in common? H is right there. They share H.
Well, C has everything in common with B, right? The top ones, right?
Well, I'm
'Cause
looking
I
at
see it
these
has
here.
G, H, Q, R, and Z.
Yeah, This is C. This is the same thing that's right here.
Right.
That's C. I just rewrote it again just so you can see. We're going to now find the common elements between these two. This is our last step. So they both have H, right?
Yeah, they have
Yes.
H.
They don't have G.
No.
Q, they do, right?
Yes.
Right.
R is not in both, and P is not. So only the two that are underlined are in that final set, in that intersection. So let's put it into one. H and Q. All right.
Very helpful.
All right. Any questions about this? This is probably, the most complicated the set theory gets. Now you do have to also one that you got to shade. So
Yeah,
I'll
the
kind of show you
shading
how.
part what gets me, the shading.
Yeah, I got a kind of a way that I handle it because but I'll show you how to handle it when we get to that. You'll see one of those here. So any last questions about this? All right, so let's go on. And we're about halfway through on this, so we can do this fun stuff again next time. We'll still do it in time for the test.
Let's get Jesus.
All right, who is that? All right. For a minute, I thought that was me. I said, what, tomorrow? So let's get rid of that. All right. So this one, we've got a universal set. Of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Very simple. 7 integers, 7 natural numbers. Now, these right here, A and B, are just opposites of one another. And in fact, a set and its complement can be characterized as opposites of one another. Okay. Negative and positive numbers are opposite of one another. Odd and even numbers are opposite of one another. They're not going to share anything in common. Now, for A, suppose we know that A complement is equal to 1, 4, 5, 6, and 7. All right. They're telling us that A complement is that, and they want us to find A. Well, you know how you find A from A complement? You do exactly the same thing. We go up here. And take out the ones that are here, right? All of those that are in A complement, I'm taking them out. So what's left over? Did I miss anything? 4, 5, 6, and 7? Let me know if I'm crazy before I start typing.
You're right.
All right. 2, 3 is then in set A. And you can kind of see it here. Because if we go back, we should be able to compare these two sets and have everything that we started with back in the universe. So in other words, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we've got all of them back if we were to now union them and make them into one set. There will be no overlap either. So this one is really just asking the same thing. except they're giving you C and they're saying find C complement. And you know what? It's the exact same process. It's the exact same process. We're going to go up here with our C and take out those three things. Make sure I do it right. 1, 3, and 7. 1, 3, and 7. Okay, that's better. 1, 3, and 7. Now, we're going to do the same thing. I knocked out the 1, 3, and 7, so what's left? 2, 4, 5, and 6. Right?
Correct.
Those are the ones that are not in C. And again, if you take any set and you take its complement and you put them back together, add them together, which is what the union is, you've got them all again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And there will be no intersection between them because they're complements of one another. That's what the complement is. All right. We all right on that?
Yes.
So let's see what the next problem is like. Erase this first. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the way that these problems are laid out, like the Alex problems like that, if I have them in my review, it's almost easier for me to just go through them like this and just annotate than the way I was trying to do before about going between window and window. I mean, sometimes I'll have something in another window to show you, but this is actually like pretty because they give you a lot of white workroom. All right. So now let's look at number 8. All right, this is another one with some steps on it. So what we got to do is always do the most complicated thing. I'm just going to start with A because that's probably the most complicated one anyway, but it really doesn't matter. But we're going to talk about the problem itself. So work at the innermost part, which is on the inside, that BUD, bud. All right, so we're going to put B union D. And so what we're going to do is you're going to tell me, what do we have if we put B and D together? Union them. What do we have? Well, both of them has got a Q. So Q
They
goes
both
in there.
got the same thing except for the.
They both got the Q. So we're going to use Q. R's down here. And we got to use the R. And then X, Y, and Z. So just putting them all together without repeats. Or Q, R, X, Y, and Z. So tell me, are those representative of the ones that are in B or D? In other words,
Yeah.
so all of those are either in B or D.
Yep,
or both, as they'll tell you.
they in
Sometimes it's
both.
the problem. Yeah, but that's what or means. It means it's one or the other or both. But Alex reminds you about or both all the time. So I probably should too. But yeah, or both. All right, now what we want to do is take the complement. You remember what the complement is? The complement is we're going to go up to the universal set and we're going to take out the ones that are there. Q, R, X, and Z. And what's left over? Well, that's the answer
The
here,
F and
folks.
the S.
So it's the ones that are left over,
F and
which
the
is
S.
F, S, Y.
Y.
Okay.
Wait,
So
so I
now
got a question. Why would the Y be left if it's in B?
hold on. Did I do something wrong? Let's see.
Yeah, because the Y is in B.
Hold on. But this is B union D. See Q, R, X, Y, and Z. I'm just trying to make sure that that's right. Now I went up here and I struck out the ones. I struck out the ones then that are not in this, which are Q. So I'm taking out Q, R, X. Oh, and I'm sorry, I didn't do Y. Thank you. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Thanks, Latondra.
Mm.
That's what I like to hear. Because, like I said, I do silly stuff sometimes. Talking and doing math. It's like talking and chewing bubble gum. I can't do both. All right, now. Let's do this one. Now, for this one, we already know what D is because we got
Don't
that.
forget to take that Y out by the
Oh,
F and S.
thank you. Yeah, I knew I had to do something. Thank you. So yeah, it's just the F and the S. Thank you very much, Sandra. All right. So now, before we try to go any further on this one, we want to do D complement. And I'm going to do D complement over here. And again, watch me. You see how I get there. I want to have us on a clean recording here that we can show to other people. Now, D, oh, I'm sorry, it was B complement we want. We already got D. So I'm going to have to close that and come back and put it. Let's erase this. So now we're doing another complement. So I'm going to erase it. And now, what's not in B is what's left over after we take B out. Q is no longer is in B. Y is not in B. I mean, Y is in B and Z is in B. So I struck them out here because that means that what's left over is not in B. Put that back. I should have just left the B part. I was trying to erase just that one little piece. There we go. So then that's F, R, S, and X, right? Those are the ones that are not in B, right? The Q is in B, the Y is in B, the Z in the B. What is not in B are the F, the R, the S, and the X. S and X. All right. We got that? because that we're going to need that now. We're going to need
Yep.
that and hook that up with D. So these two,
Excuse me.
these two right here, we're now putting together with the intersection. Okay. So what does that intersection mean again? The upside down horseshoe, the unlucky horseshoe. What does that mean?
Things they have in common.
The ones that are in common. So with this one here and this one here, what do they have in common?
The R and the X.
Or, all right. You're on fire there tonight, because that's exactly what it is. And that's what we're going to put here in this little answer block. All right.
Okay.
So any questions about either of those?
Okay, so the upside down end is what that mean? Because I know the end that's right is in common, but what the upside down one that look like a
Yeah,
U?
that's the union. That's toss them all in one pot.
Okay, so not in common and in common, basically.
Well, okay, they have some in common, but look at this. Let's go back to this right here, the B union D. So if we take B, set B, and we hook it up with this one and make them like one set, then we got a Q, we got an R, we got an X, and we got a Y, and we got a Z. Now notice that it includes just two sets and putting together all they have. They happen to both have Q in common, but we throw out one of the Qs because we're only going to use it once. We only count it once. All right.
Right.
I'm hoping you'll have more questions because I don't know if I'm going to go into any more problems. I'm so tired. Like I said, let's look at one more. We might have enough time. But like I said, we can back up and go through this thing multiple times, and I think that'll work better than just going back between notes and problems. Because these problems in here are the ones you're looking at, and mine mostly are too. It's just that this also helps you deal with the the electronic aspect on how to put things in and all that. All right. So there are 5 members of a jazz club who are listed below. Okay. 5 names, and they give them down there: Andy, Becky, Chris, Dina, and Eric. Now, if they give us another sentence, a concert director can choose some, none, or all of them to be part of a large show. Now, this right here goes back to the concept of the number of subsets that can be taken from some given set. All right. So what we need is if we know n, which is the number of elements in the set,
Five.
okay, R, and I'm going to write this out with my hand. 2 to the nth power subsets. I should have wrote that there before I close it. So that's how many subsets you got. Now, this happens to be asking for the number of subsets. There's one other scenario, and I'll explain it to you when I'm finished on this. But what we're going to do is determine that there are 5 elements in the set. So our n is equal to 5. All right. So there are 2. I'll come and fill in it. All right. So what it is there are then 2 to the n ways, or in this case, it's 2 to the 5th power. What in the world does 2 to the 5th power mean?
2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So
Yeah, and that's fine. That works. But you also got your little calculator.
2 5 times.
Yeah.
no,
But let me
yeah,
show you. See the one almost right there, smack it in the middle? See his X
yeah.
with a Y up there? Okay, so what you're going to do is you put in a 2 first, and then you hit that little button, and then you can put in your 5, and look at that. So that means that there are 32 ways to choose. So I'm going to put that 32 right there. 32. And then that's what I'm going to put in here. So there are 32 ways to choose those people. And I'm not going to go through each and every one of them because it's a lot, but you could pull out none of them. That's one of them. You could pull out one at a time. Andy set, Becky's a set, Chris is a set, Dina's a set, Eric's a set. Then you could take them out 2 at a time. And then you could do 3 at a time. And then you could do all of them together. Because there's no restriction on this. Because they told you choose some, none, or all. Choose some, none, or all. Now, one last thing.
Don't you still have to put it in Roscoe form though when you do it?
No,
Or
it's
no?
just asking how many.
Don't say right.
That's all it is. When you're being asked the cardinal number, how many, all you need to know is how many. It's not asking for
Gotcha.
you to list them out.
Okay.
There may be some small ones like that, but it'll probably be more, a set with 3 in it because it gets big too quick. All right. The number of proper subsets is 1 less than 2. I'll put the n in a bit. In this case, there are 32 minus 1 which is 31 proper subsets. So 2 to the n is what we had figured out here with our calculator. And so we already know what it is. So to find the number of proper subsets, we just whack one off. Now, what they'll tell you in one like that, that'll be slightly different. It'll say something like, he cannot choose none. He has to deploy at least one. So that means then you're throwing out one of them. And so that would be your clue to subtract one. All right. So stick around if you got any questions. Otherwise, I'll see you Thursday. Hopefully I've got all my stuff running a little bit better and don't get rained out on.
Okay, good night. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Just
Good
one quick
night.
question for you, Professor
What's
Cruz.
that?
I was trying to go back. I don't even remember what I was trying to go back and look at on one of your recordings, but it prompts for a password to look at your recording.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing: is you can it's a 2-step process. So I still haven't gotten an email
night.
about the one from the first lecture. So when I get that, and I'm probably not going to get it till the morning, then I gotta go in and you gotta share the download, the right file. So what I can do is then send that out in an invitation. So it's a 2-step process. What's going on here? Can y'all hear me?
Yes,
sir.
we can.
I don't know why I'm feeding back like that. But anyway, yeah, it's a 2-step process. And so once the recording is finished, then then I share it. I got to share it. But I got to just kind of got me word on something here now. Was it actually recording?
Yes, it was.
Okay, because it's supposed to record automatically. And
I
so
also have a
once it's
question.
recorded, and like I said, is it sometimes takes a couple of hours for it to come down. So, it's not going to be tonight. So in the morning, remind me with email, and I can share them. All right, because
This is Mr. Shelton Connolly. I'm trying to I had to get everything down packed as because I'm new to online schooling. So I'm
right.
trying to I missed the first part and I caught for 7 o'clock. So I won't miss it Thursday. But I'm trying
All
to
right.
see how do I go like as far as attendance and stuff like that. How does that go?
Okay. All right. So are you in the one that meets before this too?
Yes,
The
I am.
020? All right.
Yes.
That course is designed to give you the support you need to to get through the Math 120, which is the one at 7 o'clock. So that's where all your attention is focused.
Right.
Because truthfully, you can, if as long as you pass the one we just finished, that other one doesn't matter.
Okay.
You still get a grade in it. But what I'm saying is, I'm going to show you things and I'm going to give you assignments. And those things are participatory that are be done in class time. And then those will be grades that will make up the grade for that class.
Okay.
Does
All
that
right.
help?
Yes, that does. Thank you so much.
And so, make sure you set up in the Math 120, first of all, because things are starting to come due in there.
Yeah,
all right?
Once we get off of here, I'm about to catch up.
Like I said, it is, and if you follow that course schedule, like I said, stay within 2 days of when it's on that calendar. It makes for it not being so much stuff to do at once.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Good night. Good night.
All right. Night.
Yeah.
Everybody else all right out there?
Yeah.
Because this thing's going to shut down. I'm going to get ready to shut it down. If anybody needs anything, yelp one last time before I go. Something weird is happening. with it, so it's getting ready to go down.